The suit is in the building.
Acknowledge me.
Are you ready? Ready? This is Chase McCabe on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome in 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe hanging out with you. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your day. Nick Frazier is here as well. So much to get into as it is cut down day. I'm disappointed in myself because I literally just remembered that I forgot to do something. Because I do this almost every year, but there's a hilarious Simpsons episode where Homer is coaching the Pee Wee football team. And, is Keezer on it right now? Okay. Well, I mean, it's perfect for today when Homer makes this remark. And I meant to grab it, and I totally forgot. But, Frazier, what's up? Do we have it?
Okay, it's time for the easiest part of any coach's job, the cuts.
Yes, there you go. It's a great scene where he goes, I couldn't cut all of you. I wasn't able to cut as many as I wanted to, but I did cut a lot of you. So, Homer Simpson, shout out to that. What's up, Frazier? How are you?
We're living the dream as usual. Can't complain. Another day, another dollar. Woke up, put my feet on the ground, and we're here. But unfortunately, it is cut day.
It is. And look, it's hard for, a lot of guys that have gone through this process. And, Mike Vrabel has talked about it. Yesterday, I would say on the Vrabel pissy scale, he was at about an 8. And he usually gets that way because, this is not an easy time of year. And I get that. Like, I totally understand that it's hard because these guys have been with them since, March, April. While there were some that never had a chance, there were some that created a chance and made the decision really hard. That receiver battle, there are going to be guys that we thought were going to make it that probably aren't, and then there are going to be guys that we didn't think were going to make it that probably are. I'll give you my 53 at 10 o'clock today. We'll do the offense in one segment, the defense in another, and, give any news that comes out. And again, I know this is going to be incomplete because that's generally what happens, because there are certainly some issues that they still have to figure out. But yesterday, Vrabel was in a mood, as I mentioned, and I think cut day has a lot to do with that. But I also do wonder if sometimes when he gets that way, is it in fact a good thing? And it kind of started with this exchange that he had with Paul when Paul was kind of asking about last year compared to this year and some of the issues outside of injuries being fixed.
Do you feel like now with the opener on the horizon, like the bulk of the issues you had last year outside of injuries are fixed to your satisfaction, been addressed?
The issues? we're going to have issues every year that we're going to have to deal with.
Right, but last year's like that you're starting at a point where you feel like.
I think everybody does. I think that's where you go in at. You take care of the football and turn it over more. If you could tell me that's going to happen, then I'll tell you, yeah. But you practice and prepare for it, but what matters is what you do out on the game. Practice is important. I understand that. We believe that. Okay, your ability to make plays on the practice field lead to what you do in the game. But also, you have to go out and do it in the game. You have to block them. You have to tackle. You have to turn the football over. You have to be able to take care of it, protect the quarterback, and make contested catches and all those things.
That was Mike Vrabel yesterday. So you could kind of feel it there that he was, those are questions he doesn't like, questions that he don't want to answer. You don't want to bring up last year. Even certain things that, they're still paying for, and, that's one reason why they have a different GM. Now, they activated Dylan Radins off PUP yesterday. It would appear he's going to make the roster. Could he be a factor on that offensive line moving forward? We'll find out. But I wouldn't say that the issues that Paul was referencing are necessarily all fixed. I mean, the offensive line is not fixed. The offensive line is still the biggest concern and question mark going into the season, which starts 1 week from Sunday. That we can all agree on. I don't think there's anybody on the face of this earth that's going to go, I feel pretty good about the Titans' offensive line. I'd love to meet that person if they exist, but I don't think they do. You don't have to know jack about football, but I think you could figure that out. So my question is, with Vrabel kind of being in this mood and knowing that some of these things still exist, do we feel like that this could be the ultimate Mike Vrabel special? Jared's favorite term, the Mike Vrabel special this year, that kind of when he gets this way, it's like it's a bad comparison, but I've always said when Saban kind of gets that swagger, not the temper, but the swagger. Like he had swagger at SEC Media Days, and I looked at people and I go, "Uh-oh. Like Daddy's back." That's how I take that. When he kind of has a little swagger and he's joking a little bit, but he's also downplaying his team and saying like, we're not finished yet. We're the cake's still baking. That's when everybody else should get nervous because he sees something that he likes. When Vrabel gets kind of pissy, that's when the Mike Vrabel special kind of happens. So is this a year where everybody's writing the Titans off? You got a lot of experts that don't even think they're going to make the playoffs, that they're just ready to hand the trophy to the Jags for the AFC South, and the Titans are just going to be whatever in a bad division, that this is kind of where he pulls the rabbit out of the hat. I don't know. It feels that way, though.
Yeah. The cooking of the baking of the kitchen and all that with the cake, yeah, I could get where you're trying to make that Saban comparison. But as for Mike Vrabel, it's more of give me the just pot roast. I want the meat and potatoes. I wouldn't say it's a sweet, savory type Mike Vrabel special. It's more of a give me the good, beefy stuff and let's ride with it. That's the type of Mike Vrabel special we're rolling with here.
Yeah. Now, when you really want to go peak Vrabel in a bad mood, it was this series of questions on his experience with the kicker.
Back on the kicker situation, has it frustrated you that you've not been able to find anybody to stabilize that position the way that you have at the punter position?
By you mean having Brett Kern here, for 12 years or 15 years, or however many years he was here before me? No, not frustrated.
Is it more part of the challenge that it's not easy to find kickers who can, do what you're, to kick in this league? There's 32 of those jobs.
Yeah. Let me know when Justin Tucker's available.
Another guy who's not being let go anytime soon.
No, obviously, we're just going to keep finding, keep evaluating guys, and again, we're going to need one, and we're obviously searching like everybody, not everybody else, but a handful of teams.
Okay, there we go. It goes again. We're just going to keep evaluating guys. Now, this is where I get on my soapbox, because it's like, why wouldn't it be frustrating that you can't figure this out? Like, if he had come out and go, hell yeah, it's frustrating. Like, I wish he would, because it's frustrating to me as a fan and a radio host. It's frustrating to all of you. I mean, how many texts do we get every day or calls do we get every day on the kicker? And at this point, don't even carry a kicker. Just go for it every time. This will never happen, but I would love to see if they did that for like 4 games, what the percentages would be. That you go for 2 on every touchdown, and if it's 4th and whatever, you go for it. I'm not saying do that, but that's kind of where they're at. I mean, there's people that are saying, can Stonehouse kick and just have Stonehouse do everything and save the roster spot? No. Punting and kicking are very different things. Place kicking and punting are very different things. But, I mean, I'm frustrated because I just feel like they just can't figure it out. And that's where I'm frustrated. And so for him to be like, nah, we're just going to keep evaluating and we'll find a guy. Well, you've been trying that and it hadn't worked. And now we're sitting here basically everybody's waiting for somebody to get cut because that's who you're going to go get. You know, last night the Chargers traded Dustin Hopkins to the Browns for a 7th-round pick. Now, I don't think the Titans are in a position to trade for a kicker because that's a position that they put themselves in. They don't have a lot of draft capital to do that. So I do think it's a better idea to just wait and sign somebody off the street. But, I mean, that's what's happening. And so, like, if you're the Saints and you're picking between the two guys, I mean, there's a chance you could trade. Like, I've seen out there that Will Lutz could get traded to Denver. You know, so, I mean, some of the guys that maybe you've covet that you thought were going to just be released, now teams are figuring out how to get something for them. That's the problem that you find yourself in. 615-737-1025. That's our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. As we are up and running here on a Tuesday, I mentioned Dylan Radins being activated off the PUP list. Can he factor into the offensive line? We'll discuss that next. Also, Zach Lyons, football and other F words, going to join us at the bottom of the hour. We'll kind of get his thoughts on cut down day and the final 53 for the two-tone blue as we get things up and running. Hey, a reminder that Silly Underdog Picks returns this week, Thursday at noon. Really looking forward to that. But you can sign up for Silly Underdog Picks for your chance to win weekly prizes. Make your picks today at thegamenashville.com or the 102.5 The Game app for week 1 of college football. Silly Underdog Picks is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket and Superbook Sports here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
It's going down. It's going down. It's going down. They fight.
Jared, you're
How do you know, Joe? How do you know?
And fight.
And because of that,
But how do you know that, though? But how do you know that?
But that's okay. It's Jared and Joe. Every Wednesday at 5 p.m., Jared Stillman and Joe Rexroad debate the big topics in sports. Jared versus Joe. Presented by Pella Windows and Doors and Parman Tractor and Equipment on Stillman and Company. Wednesdays at 5 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
The path to the PGA Tour runs through Middle Tennessee. The Simmons Bank Open returns September 14th through 17th as part of the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. Catch all the exciting golf action and still not miss a minute of your favorite team's game in the Arctic Tailgate Village. Swing by the Sand Trap and take your shot at the famous floating Guitar Island Green while grabbing a bite from Hattie B's, Hogwood Barbecue, Dream Burger, and wash it down with a cold fashion from Nelson's Greenbrier. Purchase your tickets now at SimmonsBankOpen.com.
This is Evan Bass for the Tennessee Men's Clinic. For most of us, sex is a big part of our relationship. So when something like erectile dysfunction starts affecting intimacy, it can be a real problem. But what you may not know is that ED doesn't just affect you, it can be tough on your partner as well. Plus, if you have ED, you know how it can make you feel. The truth is, we see a lot of guys who have depression, frustration, and even relationship issues because of ED. But we don't want ED to impact you or the one you love anymore. The Tennessee Men's Clinic tackles ED. Our urologists and medical providers take a comprehensive approach and have treated thousands of men with treatments that are successful in nearly 90% of cases. Even if your hormones are off, or if pills, wave therapy, or other treatments have left you hanging, the Tennessee Men's Clinic will work hard to help you get your sex life back, perhaps performing like you haven't in a long time. So call us. Your first appointment includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. We have 2 offices in Midtown and Franklin.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatments extra, results vary.
You know what's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
At Mitchell's Mr. Transmission, we also offer free towing with any major repairs. If your vehicle has a breakdown and you should need any type towing, towing is available through Dad's Towing Service. Dad's is a professional towing company in Nashville that provides all types towing and recovery, 24 hours a day.
You know what's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
The world is a vampire.
The World is a Vampire Tour. One massive show. The Smashing Pumpkins. Friday, September 8th, First Bank Amphitheater in Franklin, Tennessee. Special guests, Interpol. And Rival Sons. The Smashing Pumpkins. On sale now at livenation.com. Part of the Farm Bureau Insurance Concert Series. Every day we are live and local.
You need to give Ron Tannehill a 2-year extension.
There haven't been too many coaching changes for the Predators. And your source for Nashville sports.
I think that's what the Titans need.
Players who can score. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Bring it on, Chop. Let's go.
You're listening to Chase McCabe on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
With the offensive line, what's left between now and the season opener that you have to accomplish? As far as like the right tackle position for you to name a guy to be the starter there.
Right now, Chris is the starter. That could change. Justin's here. Dylan's getting to practice. We're going to work through. Jalen hopefully will be back out there today. Keep practicing, keep competing. Things can change. It's nothing that's set in stone throughout anywhere. Maybe a few positions, but I thought they responded well yesterday to some of the corrections, conversations coming out of the game, and I think they know what we expect or what I expect, and the ability to protect the guy with the football, whether that's when we run it or whether we throw it.
Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. That was Mike Vrabel on the offensive line. And what's next to accomplish? So that little nugget did come out there. Chris Hubbard, for now, is the starter at right tackle. I mean, the starters we've seen to this point, so Dillard, Skoronski, Brewer, Brunskill, and Hubbard, I think that's the starting five that you'll see against the Saints. Whether it stays that way, obviously Nicholas Petit-Frere going to be suspended for 6 games, and then when he comes back, he likely gets his spot back unless Chris Hubbard just absolutely, blows it away. I think you're going to just see shuffling throughout the offensive line as it goes. But I was a little surprised just to get the email yesterday that Dylan Radunz was coming off the PUP list. Because that, once again, gives them, another option at offensive line. So I think I think that could be very interesting if he can be serviceable. I mean, he's been pretty bad. Let's just be honest. He's been pretty bad. But we'll see. 615-737-1025. A few of you wanted to weigh in on kicker. Texter says, why not pick up Hot Rod Rodrigo Blankenship? He's a free agent who has had some rough spots, but throughout his tenure, he's been more consistent than any of our more recent kickers. I don't know if that is true or not. Let me pull up the numbers. Numbers don't lie. Even though I love what TD says about stats, they don't show everything, which is true. All right, so Randy Bullock was an 85% kicker last year. Hot Rod is 83.9%. So last year he was with 2 different teams, Indy and Arizona. With Indy, he was terrible. He was 66.7%, 100% extra points. And then with Arizona, in only 2 games, so he played 3 games total. He was 1 for 1 and then 66.7% with his extra points. So he wasn't very good. And then before that, he's been 86.5, 78.6, 80%. He's inconsistent. So I'm not going to say that he's more consistent than maybe he is than some of the guys that the Titans have had. But I would look at other options before I bring in Hot Rod.
Yeah. The name has been flustering around with the name of Will Lutz. Looking on overthecap.com, the guaranteed money is set at $500,000, which is I think the second lowest in guaranteed money for I guess you could say veteran-esque kickers that have been in the league for a good bit of time. So I mean, the numbers look right. The veteran-esque sort of tenure in the NFL seems to be right. The percentage seems to be right. It's just a matter of time of if they go with Blake Group or not, and if they do, then
I think that's what they're going to do.
Then the Titans will luck out with potentially Will
Lutz. I don't know. I mean, if I'm the Saints, I'm making calls, and I think there's probably a team because Peyton knows Will Lutz, so right. I could see Sean Payton wanting to jump on that and try and get him. And if they offer up a 7th round pick, you take it. That's a draft pick.
Yeah.
You never know what you might get. So I could see the Saints dealing Lutz before the deadline at 3:00 Central Time and getting something for him. And the Titans are not in a position where they need to be trading for a kicker.
Yeah.
I would love if they could do that and try and get a guy that they could hang on to. They still might be able to do that via free agency, but trading something right now, they just don't have the draft capital to do it.
Yeah, they don't even have the cap room for the majority of the rest of the season. They have I think it's $12.6 million according to overthecap.com in total team cap space for the season. So that's not a lot. You're really pressing on dimes and pennies at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, for a kicker, if they can get under $2 million, I think that's
fine. But I'm just saying for the long haul of the season, if you're going to go sign possibly another offensive lineman or a potential slot receiver or some sort of secondary cornerback of some degree, then that's where you start pressing your money.
And that's why, today, when the final 53-man roster comes out just after 3:00, the 4:00 Eastern deadline, don't write that down in pen.
Right.
Because you're going to have other players that are getting released. They'll scour the waiver wire. I mean, it'll be – I would be shocked if are they going to have a kicker by 3:00?
I hope so.
I don't know if they will.
Yeah, and if they don't, the biggest case scenario, if they don't, where would you set your eyes towards, Chase, if you're the GM?
Well, I mean, Lutz is probably at the top of my list, but he's likely going to Denver.
Right.
I mean, I think Denver's going to get that done. I wasn't a big fan of Hopkins. Probably one of the guys from New England.
Okay.
The odd man out in New England would probably be my play.
Okay.
Nick Folk has been a solid kicker for a long time. Now, he's been a journeyman, but he's been pretty solid. There's a reason that he's lasted as long as he had. I'd probably look that route before – and then maybe Mason Crosby. Mason Crosby was still pretty solid last year. So, like I said, they do have some options. May not all be great, but I would start with some of those before Rodrigo Blankenship. Now we have one texter that gives a strong opinion. Why are we always splitting hairs over a coach response? Of course he's frustrated. His job is on the line. Furthermore, I would love a suggestion from you all on what he should do that he hasn't done already. Talk about X's and O's. This sounds like the male version of The View. A named texter. I have said this many times. I like Mike Vrabel. I think Mike Vrabel is a good head coach. I get frustrated with him when he gets pissy. There's a difference between frustrated and pissy. And sometimes he just, you can just tell he just doesn't want to address something, and he does, and it's, I don't know if it's because he doesn't want to admit he was wrong, that he hasn't put emphasis on it, because quite frankly, I don't feel like the Titans have addressed the kicker position like they should have since Ryan Suckup left. And Ryan Suckup, Mike Vrabel had nothing to do with Ryan Suckup being here because he was already here. Just like he had nothing to do with Brett Kern because Brett Kern was already here. Special teams, was really good for a while with this franchise. Under Jeff Fisher, it was the best. Floyd addressed it. Floyd was a special teams coach. It was an emphasis for him. Special teams was rock solid for a long time. And so I just feel like that there hasn't been an emphasis on the position of place kicker, and there should be, because in today's NFL, things are so close and there's so much parity that games do come down to a big kick, and you got to make those big kicks. And they haven't had a guy that you can sit there. I mean, look, Justin Tucker doesn't grow on trees. I got it. There's only one Justin Tucker. But there are other kickers in this league that you sit there and go, okay, I feel pretty good about this. And if he misses, like, well, he didn't miss a whole lot. But they haven't been able to find that because I just don't know how hard they try. That's my opinion. Chris in Nashville. I heard Ray Finkel, the old Dolphins kicker, is available. The Titans should bring him in for practice. Laces out. Ace Ventura reference. Yeah, we've seen that a lot. I mean, that's where desperation is. JD points out the Broncos trying to get Lutz. Yep. Ben from Nashville. Morning, everyone. Well, good morning, Ben. Kicker is a frustrating position because you can't bring a guy in and expect a change of scenery lead to a better performance on the field. But why, oh why, are the Titans incapable of getting a kicker for the past 5 years? We've cut people who have gone on to have good careers. I'm beginning to side with Jared on firing Ackerman. It's a fair question. I mean, Santos, where's he now?
Believe Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, they Greg Joseph. I mean, they've had guys that have come through here that didn't last very long, and then they go elsewhere and they're solid. So you do ask that question. Well, what's going on now? You know, like Badgley sucked. Badgley sucked before they brought him in here. He was always inconsistent. That's why I wouldn't consider Rodrigo Blankenship. As much as I loved Hot Rod and wearing 99 at Georgia and the glasses and everything, I know our GM Sean's probably listening right now, going like, "Bring in the Georgia kicker." I would not. He's been very inconsistent in the NFL. So we'll ask Zach Lyons, football and other F words pods that will join us coming up next. We'll get his thoughts on everything with the Titans and the 53-man roster. We will do that coming up next. Vanderbilt football this Saturday here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. The Commodores will kick off game number 2 at 6 o'clock at home against Alabama A&M with pregame beginning at 4:30. You can hear it all on 102.5 The Game, the app, and thegamenashville.com.
The sports talk doesn't end on Friday. Join Junie Riddle,
the guy that can come in and give us some good goal-scoring production,
and Nick Keiser,
another guy that I thought was interesting that got a 1-year deal.
Each Saturday morning at 9, it's Riddle and the Reporter on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All right, let's talk Superbook Sports. As you know, it is my official sports book because football season, it's here basically. And now is the time to place your bets with Superbook here in Tennessee. It's the most trusted name in Vegas, and now you can use the promo code CHASE, that's my name, CHASE, to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 simply by using the promo code CHASE. Will Tennessee win the division this year? Who is your pick for MVP? And which team will win it all in February? Don't sit on the sidelines. Win money this season with Superbook Sports. Just download the Superbook Tennessee app or visit superbook.com to place your wager today. Football, a $250 first bet bonus, and the Chase promo code will make you do your own touchdown dance this season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Jared. Want to tell you about Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Hiller is keeping you chilling all summer with special deals to keep you relaxed and happy this summer. Tackle those necessary home system replacements this month to take advantage of these special deals. When you purchase a select new HVAC system, you'll get 2 Yeti Trailhead camping chairs, a Yeti Panga 28L waterproof backpack, a Yeti Tundra 75, and 2 Yeti tumblers for free. And get special freebies on Yeti products with every new whole home generator or tankless water heater purchase. That's Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Hey y'all, it's Courtney with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Warmer months have you working overtime? Be sure to visit Parman Tractor and Equipment for all your New Holland tractor and bush hog needs. Swing by our store at 3570 Dickerson Pike in North Nashville or give our sales team a call. We're now offering 0% financing for 72 months on select New Holland tractors. Get the brands you trust from a local dealer like Parman, always ensuring totally outrageous customer service. Visit ParmanTractor.com for the best deals on equipment, New Holland tractor, bush hog, and more.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, did you tune in late? It's okay. It happens. You can subscribe to the Chase McCabe podcast wherever you get your podcasts. iTunes, Spotify, doesn't matter. Rate, subscribe, and review today.
Chase McCabe on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Talking Titans, 53-man roster. Must be official by 3 o'clock today, Central Time. We now say hello to Zach Lyons, Football and Other F Words pod. You can check it out. He does great work. Zach, what's up, man?
Oh, not much. Just finishing up an article for StackingTheInbox.com while also feverishly refreshing my Twitter feed and trying to also figure out why Jennifer Love Hewitt is trending. I mean, she always should be trending, but at least she's alive.
Yeah, I mean, she's been trending in my mind for a long time. So,
yeah.
We go way back. With the 53-man roster, I mean, I think it's very safe to say with this Titans team that the one we see at just after 3 o'clock Central Time today is going to look very different than the one that we're going to see when they open the season against the Saints. Do you feel like that Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon are going to spend a majority of their time obviously looking for a kicker, but also scouring for potential offensive linemen to add to that group?
I kind of don't. I don't think that offensive linemen seems to be the priority. From all the words that they have said, they seem to be
Zach, we're going to put you on hold for a second because something's up with the connection there. Just lost that, so we'll see if we can get him reestablished. I don't know what happened there. He got zapped, something like that.
Got zapped.
But yeah, just pick it up and back there, Nick, and see what we can do. Maybe it fixed it. We good now? All right, let's try this again. You were making a great point, and then technology got you.
Yeah, it got me for some reason. I don't know where I left off. I think for all intents and purposes, it sounds like to me that they're happy with the group they got. They may go back to the well to try and get someone like David Quessenberry, who's just recently released, but that doesn't really move the needle too far above Chris Hubbard. But I do think he is better than Chris Hubbard, but I also think that Justin Murray's better. And they just got back Dylan Radins. I mean, he may be a few weeks away from actually finding his way onto the field in team practices, but They still have 2 weeks to go before the regular season. I don't think offensive lineman's a priority. I do think linebacker is a priority. Obviously, kicker is as well.
Yeah, where do you think they go with kicker? I mean, we've seen Dustin Hopkins just got traded to Cleveland for a 7th rounder. I don't think the Titans need to be in the business of trading for a kicker because I don't think they have the draft capital to really do it. They need to keep some draft picks. So do you feel like if the Will Lutz to Denver thing doesn't happen, or is it maybe one of the guys that loses out in New England? Where do you think they go?
Well, I will say this. Diana Rossini is saying that the kicker market is busy. She reported on X that teams are currently making calls around the league looking for opportunities to trade for kickers: Rams, Lions, Titans, 49ers, and Broncos. Dustin Hopkins was traded for a 2025 7th-round pick. The Titans have plenty of 7th-round picks in 2025. The problem is in 2024, so it just depends on how desperate they get. I would assume that they're calling on maybe Nick Folk or Will Lutz, who are likely to get cut or likely to get traded elsewhere. So I would assume that's where they're going. At the end of the day, if they have to settle for a Mason Crosby or Robbie Gould or someone like that, maybe even call back Randy Bullock, it's better than what they were trying all offseason long. I mean, pretty much anybody that went to practice or followed the Tennessee Titans knew that, like, after week 1, neither of these kickers, Trey Wolf or Caleb Shudak, were likely to make the team. And I don't understand the Titans' approach to kicker. I never will. I don't know why a team that plays with such a thin margin of error that needs points wherever it can get it refuses to take this position seriously. But yesterday, Mike Vrabel answered Teresa's comment with, like, well, I don't think Justin Tucker's going to get, get cut. And I'm thinking, well, so is it Hall of Fame and UDFA scrub and nothing in between? Like, we can't get something in between there that is at least better than maybe the 20th best kicker in the league? Like, I don't understand what's going on over there.
Yeah, I don't either. And anytime it's brought up, Vrabel kind of goes into, pissy mode, as I like to put it. And it's just like this has been an ongoing thing with him. But we will see who the kicker is on the roster at 3 o'clock Central Time. When it comes to wide receiver, this was an intriguing battle in camp. And I think there were some guys that emerged that I didn't expect to, and then there were some guys that disappointed that I didn't really expect to. For me, I have 6 on the roster. Obviously, the obvious ones of Hopkins and Burks, Phillips once he's healthy again, Chris Moore, NWI, and then I have Kyrus Jackson making this roster over, Racey McMath or Reggie Roberson, Mason Kinsey. I know Kinsey could be available as a call up if he makes it to the practice squad with Phillips being out. But how do you view that position?
Yeah, it's weird. That wide receiver 6 spot, when I was doing my only and final 53-man roster, because, everybody does one like every few days, and I'm just thinking that seems like a waste of time. Wait till all the preseason's over. And I almost went with just 5 wide receivers because I thought that maybe they would just go scouting on the waiver wire or scouting free agency for a wide receiver. I wasn't really feeling any of these guys. And then Kyrus Jackson got extended time as a returner. He's on there. He's my 6th wide receiver. Mine lines up perfectly with you. I'm not confident. And one thing that has given me pause is something that Braden Gall, which you're familiar with, and we do a football show every Monday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, that Reggie Roberson has a connection with Will Levis that has shown up in camp. But Reggie Roberson has not shown up in the preseason. But guess who has also not shown up in the preseason? Will Levis. So I almost think that Reggie Roberson is a sneaky pick to make it in as wide receiver 6, but I think I'm just going to stick with Kyrus Jackson for now. Colton Dowell looked really good. Trayshawn Harrison looked good. And Mason Kinsey, he's a preseason darling. He always looks good in preseason. But they would rather sign someone like C.J. Board or Josh Gordon or Cody Hollister than call up Mason Kinsey. They just like Mason Kinsey on the practice squad, I think. He does everything that they need him to do on the practice squad, and I guess those players are hard to find for them.
Do you think Colton Dowell was good enough to the point where he was good enough to warrant being around and practice squad, but bad enough not to make the Titans' initial 53, but also good enough that they'd be worried about losing him to another team?
No, I don't think he. Here's the thing about the waiver wire process, and this is kind of an overarching thought. There's only roughly like 30 players every year that are claimed off of waivers at this time. Most of the time, I mean, that means that like a large majority, we're talking like out of 800 to 900 players, only 30 are claimed. That leaves a large majority of players going through waivers unclaimed. And I think Colton Dow, really the only guy that may not clear waivers that the Titans could possibly cut, and I think they are, is Monty Rice. Now, everybody else, I think, is going to go through waivers without being claimed. And I know that's an unpopular opinion if you're a Caleb Murphy all-pro truther. And I love Caleb Murphy, and I hope that he makes the team. But I just don't think that anybody else cut is going to get claimed, because if you get claimed during this process, you have to go on the 53. You're not able to be claimed and go on the practice squad. That's why a lot of these players clear, and then you see a lot of these players show up on the team that they were recently cut from on their practice squad. And that's where I think Colton Dow lands. If he is cut, he will be on the Titans practice squad fairly quickly.
Yeah, and you mentioned Monty Rice, and you mentioned the linebacker position there. That one is with a defense that I think is going to be pretty good. That's where I'm the most nervous because of the depth, especially in the middle there. And, are they just going to have enough to really be able to hold it down at that spot?
I don't think that the linebacker position is fully fleshed out in its current form. I think they'll keep 5. I think they'll keep Azeez Al-Shaair, and I like to call them the flip cup boys. Chad, Luke, Ben, and Chance. I think they'll keep all of those guys. But I think Monty Rice is gone. He put out a weird statement yesterday that he hasn't been missing practice because of injury. It's been because of life stuff. And, I don't know what's going on in his life, and I'm not here to downplay it. But I just don't think that he was long for this team to begin with. I know a lot of people had him in pretty heavily as a starter before off-season or before the training camp stuff. But I never really believed that he was going to live up to his third-round draft pick when he was initially drafted, and I've held pretty steadfast in that. Not to say he hasn't filled in well. I just don't think he's a starter for the Tennessee Titans, and I don't think they think that either. I look at a guy that got recently released as Christian Kirksey from the Texans. He was on the on the team with Tim Kelly in 2021. The Tennessee Titans have seen him a lot. He's a veteran, and he's a tackling machine. And at the position opposite Azeez Al-Shaair, that's what you want. He can be signed later today because he has 4 or more accrued seasons. So he's a vested veteran. So he does not go to waivers. So he can actually be signed later today at 3:01 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Real quick, on the defensive line, I've seen some people have Naquan Jones in. I've had some people have Naquan Jones out. Where are you on that?
Out. I don't think he's done enough in the times that he has seen preseason or seen in-game real-live action to necessitate keeping around, especially if he's an injury. I wouldn't be surprised if they move him to like a reserve PUP list or something. But I don't think he's playing. I think that it's Michael Dwumfor, Kyle Pecco, and Jaden Peavy, and I think that you could even see all 3 make it. You have to remember last year, depending on how you look at Danico Autry, they kept 7 defensive linemen last year. That does not include the outside linebackers. I don't see any reason why they couldn't keep that many again. It will be interesting to see, but to me, Michael Dwumfor has done enough, and Jaden Peavy has caught the eye of the staff. While he may have had a quiet preseason, he has not had a quiet training camp. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'd also rather have both those guys over Naquan Jones, who seems like just another guy that could just be rotated in, and then you won't even notice that he's there or not there.
You do have Jeffrey Simmons making it, though? You think he'll be good, Zach?
It was tough. I know he's on the bubble, and he missed every preseason game. Which if you don't play in preseason, it's a big deal. You got to remember, everybody wanted Ryan Tannehill to play, and that was huge that he got those handoffs in on Friday's game. But he may be a little rusty. You never know with Jeffrey Simmons. He's a very up and down player. Just a roster bubble kind of guy.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I think it'll be, all kidding aside, I think it'll be a breakout year, another breakout year for Jeff, for sure. Zach, appreciate it as always. Good to talk to you, and we'll do it again soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Chase.
Absolutely. Zach Lyons, football and other F words pods, also does work with 440 Sports, so you can check him out there, all over the place on X. I'm trying to train myself not to say Twitter. Coming up next, I want to touch on this because there was a bizarre moment in the Braves game last night. Just like, if you didn't see this or hear about it, we'll discuss that next. Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
New home. New energy. Same Blue Raiders.
99 yards! Touchdown, Middle Tennessee!
Catch every game for MTSU on 93.3 Classic Hits. Coach Rick Stockstill is poised to lead his team to yet another bowl appearance.
We're really excited about this opportunity.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey everyone, this is Nick Frazier here to tell you about my favorite sportbook and casino, and it's BetUS.com. Football is back, and that means it's time to lay down your bets. I only endorse one sportbook and casino, and that's BetUS.com. They're celebrating their 30th year of sports betting service with a special offer up to 30 risk-free bets. That's right, up to 30 risk-free bets. It's called Bet Protect. BetUS.com also offers a 125% sign-up bonus, a massive 200% crypto sign-up bonus, and a 250% casino bonus. The game always gets better and more exciting with bets, but you can take it to a whole nother level by using their live in-game betting. Take advantage of their 30th year offer and get 30 risk-free bets. Get Bet Protect. Get started by visiting BetUS.com or at 1-800-MyBetUS to learn more. That's 1-800-MyBetUS. BetUS.com, sportbook and casino, where the game begins.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report for doors and windows is in. Pella Windows and Doors are the leading brand among all others. A few reasons why. Pella is regarded as the highest quality, the most innovative, and the installers with Pella of Nashville lead the way for attention to detail. That's why Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of Pella's top locations in the country. For new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaNashville.com.
Get a great deal on select Kubota equipment, the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience in the U.S. The versatile lineup is built to help you make the most of your land. Right now at participating dealers, get a Kubota compact tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months, plus save up to $800 on qualifying implements. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/disclaimers for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
So, if there's brunch, why isn't there dinner?
Or dunch, for that matter.
No, we know why there's no dunch.
Why is that?
People might get confused and miss brunch.
And I never want to miss a brunch this good.
Me either. Cheers.
Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Breakfast buffet Monday through Thursday from 7 till 10:30 a.m. and lunch from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Weekend brunch Friday through Sunday from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. featuring cast iron pancakes, made to order waffles, and eggs and carafes of mimosas. Treat yourself today to Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
It's time to celebrate this fall and unleash the beast. Monster Brewing proudly presents to you Beast Unleashed. 0 caffeine, 0 sugar, all the adult beverage fun. The Beast is unleashed with great taste, bold familiar flavors, and 6% alcohol. Go wild with Mean Green, White Haze, Peach Perfect, and Scary Berries. Don't fear the Beast. Enjoy Beast Unleashed at your next tailgate or football party. Drink responsibly. Must be 21 and over.
Nashville Sounds Baseball lives on 94.9 The Fan. Catch every pitch.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Every hit.
That's a base hit.
Every run.
Looking up, it's gone.
On your home for Sounds Baseball. 94.9 The Fan and The Fan app.
You're listening to Chase McCabe.
He did not want to rehearse, and he wanted to leave as soon as possible.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106. A 5:20 pregame, 5:35 first pitch on 94.9 The Fan. Sounds will take on the Durham Bulls, AAA affiliate of the Tampa Bay Rays. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan is presented by 312 Pizza Company, Farm Bureau Health Plans, and Family Leisure, broadcasting from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. So, hanging out last night, watching the Braves, as I typically do, and, a little later start, but saw this craziness happen in the seventh inning of the game against the Rockies at Coors Field. Coors Field, beautiful ballpark if you've never been. But this was in the seventh inning when Ronald Acuna Jr., who is a MVP candidate, for the Braves in the National League, was confronted on the field in right field by two fans. And Acuna ended up being knocked over. Like, one of them tried to hug him, basically. And it was just a weird thing. I mean, we've seen fans run on the field before, but usually it's like just trying to run on it and streak or whatever. But it was like they were trying to get a picture, with Ronald Acuna Jr. while on the field. Security was trying to pry the guy off of Acuna. Then that's kind of when he got knocked down. And that's when the second guy rushed over. But here was Acuna with a translator. He doesn't speak English. Last night, kind of giving his thoughts on the situation.
The one guy seemed subdued. Was the other guy just kind of acting crazy? The first guy seemed like he just wanted a picture. Was the other guy kind of acting crazy?
Sí, el segundo, eran tres, uno chiquitico yo creo que lo vi, pero el segundo también me estaba preguntando por si no podía tomar una foto y yo le dije que o sea, no le dije nada porque el seguridad llegó, pero yo espero que se encuentren bien ahorita en este momento.
I think there were three of them that saw someone else somewhere, but anyways, the second guy, he was asking for a picture too, and I couldn't say anything to him because at that point, security was already there and we were already kind of tangled up.
And it's weird. He goes on to say security was able to get there and everything's okay. We're all okay, and I hope they're okay. And then Brian Snitker, the Braves manager, said, quote, "You don't want to see that happen. I know that. You don't know what they will do when they get out there. It's a scary situation." I mean, come on. Like, it still happens, unfortunately. I feel like, you'll see it. Kevin Harlan's been known to, if he's calling a nationally televised game for football and he's on radio, a lot of times, like, he'll do the call, which is hilarious if you've never heard that. But it's just like, I get it from the player's perspective of how scary that is. Like, right, in today's time, like, you never know. Like, you think that they're probably just drunk and, trying to see what they can get away with. I mean, once they hit the field, they're going to jail. Like, they're going to get caught. They're not going to make it across and get out of there without some kind of punishment. So I really don't know what they're doing. But, going up to Acuna in the middle of a game and trying to get a picture and all of that, like, I mean, I get it from his perspective of he's probably thinking, what the hell's going on? And that's exactly what it was. I mean, here he is trying to do his job, with the Braves, and kind of has that distraction that comes his way, because a couple of fans, one or two or three or whatever it was, they want to be goofy and do something stupid. But the Braves nonetheless won 14-4, so the bats were going. But I don't know, man. It's weird to see that. Obviously, Acuna had himself a night, 4 of 5, 4 hits, and 5 RBI on the night with a couple of dingers, one dinger as well. But a good night for him nonetheless. What was funny is for so long he was like a heavy favorite to win the MVP. And now those odds have kind of slipped.
Yeah.
Where Mookie is the favorite now.
I was about to say there's some weird way that Mookie Betts has lured his way back into some sort of MVP race.
Well, look, I mean, Mookie's had a hell of a year. I mean, Freddie Freeman was probably in that conversation too, but I mean,
I think
Mookie Betts deserves to kind of be in the thought.
I think he's exceeded his home run tally for his career, I do believe. I'll have to double check on that. Don't quote me on it. But I've been hearing a lot of murmuring about that on MLB Network, saying Mookie's hitting, an insane amount of home runs this year in comparison to recent years that he's, had those MVP caliber years when he was at Boston.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at – this is from Covers.com, and they have a couple of different sports books. So as of right now, DraftKings has Acuna as the favorite, minus 135. Mookie's at even money, and then Freddie's the next one at plus 1,000. FanDuel has Acuna at minus 160 as the favorite, Mookie at plus 110. And then Bet365 has Mookie as the favorite at minus 130 and Acuna at plus 110. So according to these books, it's basically between Mookie Betts and Ronald Acuna Jr. in the National League. And then Freddie Freeman's a distant third, Matt Olson's a distant fourth, and then that's really it. So, I mean, I guess it'll be one of those two.
Yeah.
And listen, as much as I love Mookie Betts, Nashville's own, we do a lot of great things with him. I hope his mom's not listening. I need Acuna to. I mean, that's my guy. That's my team. Like, I wish Mookie was in a better looking uniform than the one he's in. And so I liked it better when it was with the Red Sox and I didn't have to worry about him in the National League and the Dodgers.
Likewise with the Cardinals.
Yeah, Dodgers. Hate the Dodgers. Coming up next, I will get into my version of the 53-man roster. It's going to look similar to a lot of others, but we will discuss that coming up next. Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
It's time to let your voice be heard. Nashville is headed to a runoff in the mayoral race on Thursday, September 14th. Stand up and be counted. Cromwell Media reminds you to get out and vote for the future of our city.
All of us at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game want to recognize our active military, veterans, first responders, and educators with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. Still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner and the home of the brave.
This is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Now, your Game Center update.
This is Nick Frazier, and this Game Center update is brought to you by BetUS Sportbook and Casino, celebrating 30 years with a special football season offer, up to 30 risk-free bets. It's called Bet Protect. Get started with BetUS.com. The Tennessee Titans are making roster cuts, and after the final preseason game, the team cut kicker Michael Badgley. Where does the team go from here? Jonathan Hutton joined the Chase McCabe show yesterday to discuss the Titans' kicking issues.
The Titans only made 7 field goals from 40 or more yards last season. The league average made was 13 from 40-plus per team. And that's a trust issue, too. We're going to roll out the kicker to try this or not. They just need a kicker that they're at least willing to give it a boot with, a try. And they haven't had that last year, and they don't have one this year to even attempt that. A make or a miss, you can get away with in Kansas City. 3 points is massive for a win or a loss for the Tennessee Titans and how they're built.
Tune in to 94.9 The Fan tonight as the Nashville Sounds start their 6-game series with the Durham Bulls, the AAA affiliate of the Tampa Bay Rays. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Ross Chastain will be first to finish in the Ally 500 at Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Checkered flag is in the air. Man, this is a win in the cup race.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Nashville.
The suit is in the building.
Acknowledge me.
Are you ready? Ready? This is Chase McCabe on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hour number 2, Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game here on a Tuesday. I almost said Friday. Man, that's not good.
You're pulling a me from a couple weeks ago.
I'm already feeling Friday. But not there yet. It is time. The 53-man roster, which has to be turned into the National Football League today, that has to be done at 4 o'clock Eastern time today. Is when that has to be complete. But I will do my best to give my roster, and it's going to be similar to a lot of other people's out there. We all like to do our 53-man rosters. That's not easy, but here we go. So with the quarterbacks, Tannehill, Willis, Levis, no surprise there that's what they're going with. Okay, I think every roster you read, they're going to have those guys sticking on the roster. No doubt in my mind there. Running back, that one was tough of what how many I wanted to go with that because they don't typically, or they're not this year, they don't have a fullback. So do you want to carry, an extra tight end, an extra running back? I ultimately went with Henry, Spears, and Chestnut. Because they put Hassan Haskins on IR yesterday. Then Ward was released as well. And that stunk because I thought he had a really good chance of making it. So that's what I went with that. The wide receiver position. A lot of people wondering how many guys that they were going to carry. I went with 6. I have 6 receivers on the roster. Hopkins, Burks, Phillips, Chris Moore, NWI, and Karis Jackson out of the rookie out of Georgia. That makes up that receiver group. That's what I have there. And again, you could have gone different directions with that, but ultimately I went with those. Now, tight end, this is where I carry the extra player for somebody that can be a fullback. Chig, Wesco, Wiley, and then can you help me, Nick? Okunawa. I can't do it. I'm so bad at the names. That guy. I got him going on. Chig I got, but Thomas Odukoya.
Yes,
that's
Odukoya.
it.
Bingo.
Odukoya. There it is.
That baby.
Sound it out.
Chase.
Sound it out. That's what I had to do there. So I have him making it there. Offensive linemen. 9 offensive linemen. Could have gone 10, but I went with 9 for the offensive linemen. Dillard, Skoronski, Brewer, Brunskill, Hubbard, that we now know is a starter, Corey Levin, backup center, Jalen Duncan, and then I went Murray and Dylan Radence. Now, Radence was a surprise one because he was activated yesterday off PUP. I have him on the roster, at least right now. I think, as Zach Lyons said, I think it'll be a few weeks before he can play, but I have him on the roster. So that's where I'm at with the offensive line. We'll get to the defense in the next segment. Obviously, Nicholas Petit-Frere suspended for the first handful of games, for 6 games of the season. So they'll be without him. And my question is, are they going to be just counting down the days for him to come back, or do we think Chris Hubbard or Radence or somebody can fill that spot at right tackle and they feel good about it? So, they're not just sitting there doing the NPF dance waiting for him to get back.
I would go with Hubbard. I think if Hubbard does show some promise in weeks 2 and 3, ride the hot hand.
Yeah, I think you have to. If
he won't be back to week 6, but just saying, ride the hot hand if he keeps on, having good games. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, if he gives up 8 sacks in his time,
different story.
8 sacks would not be good. Then he is probably going to be out. That's kind of how I look at it. This was Mike Vrabel yesterday, though, because, as I mentioned, it's not an easy time. And Vrabel was asked about the message that you give to guys that when they get cut, and also this initial 53.
You talked before about how difficult these couple of days can be because of the relationships you have with guys. What's your message to the guys who maybe get bad news in the next 24 hours or so? Then what's your message to the 53+ you'll have here starting Wednesday?
Well, I would say that, starting with the 53, that the roster, we need to prove ourselves every day. This business can, nothing's guaranteed, and what the roster looks like on Wednesday is going to be different than what it looks like a week from Wednesday, and so on and so forth. We're always going to be looking to churn the roster. That would be my message to them, is that's not the time to relax and take a deep breath. And then, unfortunately, we will have to move on from some players. Do it in, whether we bring them back or we don't. Try to tell them that if they ever need something, that they've shown well for themselves, and that we would call anybody that they need me to call and help them however we can help them, and know that we could possibly bring you back if we don't bring you back on the initial wave of the practice squad. Because when you try to make a connection with them, it is difficult, and but we all know that not everybody's going to make it.
That was Mike Vrabel yesterday, and look, that's where I think some of his being in a bad mood comes from, because it's not easy, because you make that connection with these guys. It's hard not to. They've been in the building since April, and you've gone through this journey together, and it's hard to not have some sort of human connection with them when you're going through this process. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in on the roster, who you think makes it, who you think doesn't make it. Jordan Schultz putting out there just a few minutes ago that sources are telling him the Titans are waiving wide receiver Racey McMath. I'm not surprised by that by any means. I think that Racy really needed to have a good training camp, and even though a lot of people had him on their initial 53-man roster going into the season, he ended up not performing well. I mean, he got outperformed by guys throughout training camp, and that was that couldn't happen, and so ultimately he lost his spot. And so I'm not really surprised at all that he ends up not making the roster here, as they have to have that final 53 coming through at 3 o'clock Central Time today. So again, to recap what I have offensively real quick, and then we'll get to the defense. A lot of teams that carry 2 quarterbacks. I go 3. I don't think that's a surprise by any means that it's Tannehill, Willis, and Levis, and Mike Vrabel probably won't name a backup. It'll be week to week. Henry, Spears, Chestnut at running back. Receiver, Hopkins, Burks, Phillips, Moore, NWI, Kyrus Jackson. You just heard the report from Jordan Schultz that Racey McMath being released. Tight end group, I have 4, Chig, Wesco, Wiley, and Odakoya. Say that 3 times fast. Offensive line, 9, Dillard, Skoronski, Brewer, Brunskill, Hubbard, Levin, Duncan, Radence, and Murray. And then Nicholas Petit-Frere will be suspended for the first 6 games of the season. So that's where we're at on that. 615-737-1025 is our number. If you want to give me your thoughts on your 53-man roster, what you think of the offense. Coming up next, we will get into the defense, because I think this is where it's difficult but also going to be incomplete even at 3 o'clock Central Time today. We'll do that next. Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Are you always on the go? We've got you covered. Download the Game Nashville app from your app store and listen to us wherever you are.
Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexroad.
It's Chase McCabe.
Caroline, Willie, D-Mace.
Dominic Company.
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
Good station. I listen to it all the time.
102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey home buyers, TJ Anderson here. 6326 Patton Avenue is a new construction home in Nashville's Charlotte Park neighborhood. It offers 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, and nearly 2,500 square feet. Features include a 2-car garage, custom walk-in shower, and a private backyard that's fully fenced. Text the number 2 to 615-420-2377 for pricing and info. Want your home on the radio? Google TJ Anderson Homes and see why we are referred by clients so often. TJ Anderson Homes at Benchmark Realty. Office number 615-432-2919.
Calling all Nashville Sounds baseball fans. You know the 312 Pizza Company in Germantown is the best place to be before or after a Sounds game, but this season, it gets even better. Stop by 312 Pizza Company before or after any Nashville Sounds home game with your day of ticket and get a free old-style beer. That's right, you get a free old-style beer from 312 Pizza just for watching Sounds baseball, only redeemable with purchase. See you at 312 Pizza Company all baseball season long. 312 Pizza Company, a proud sponsor of your Nashville Sounds.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Now through Labor Day, get incredible deals at Electronic Express. Get a 70-inch LG 4K Smart TV only $599, or a Maytag laundry pair only $449 each. Electronic Express has huge savings on 4K TVs, appliances, furniture, mattresses, and more. Don't miss out on an HP Ryzen laptop just $399, or Sony Bluetooth speakers for only $16. Plus, get up to 60-month special financing throughout the entire store. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
94.9 The Fan is your home for Hit City.
Tonight, your Nashville Sounds continue their 2-week road trip, starting a 6-game series at Durham.
He gloves, grabs, guns, gets him, and the Sounds win again.
Pre-game at 5:20.
Nashville Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan and the Fan app.
This is Chase McCabe.
Good to meet you. You know why it's good to meet me? Because I'm smart and I'm right.
On 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
I guess the lingering injuries make it difficult this time of year when you're trying to get down to 53, deciding how long.
Well, I think that's part of it, and seeing how guys are going to, do you have to carry them? Do you have to, you're going to put them on IR with some sort of designation and for a return, and all part of the process of getting to 53 tomorrow afternoon.
That was Mike Vrabel yesterday talking about getting to that 53 is an ongoing process right now. They won't have any media availability today as they have to submit the 53-man roster before 3 o'clock Central Time. Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. In fact, the next time we hear from everybody will be Thursday, 9:45. Rand Carthon will speak, and then Vrabel at 10:15. So we'll carry both of those for you here on the program so you can hear what they have to say. By the way, I will pass this along, and I'll let everybody in on the inside joke here. So a buddy of mine is getting ready to have a fantasy football draft, like a lot of people are. And yes, I know the rule is nobody cares about your fantasy team, but we were sitting at the bar, and he was like, "Yeah, I got to come up with the order." And we kind of made the joke of, "Hey, you should work in the numbers on your show." And so that's what I did last segment. So if you heard me emphasizing certain numbers, that was the draft order, and so that we had a little fun with that. I will do just about anything, just for a cheap laugh.
I was chuckling behind the glass the whole entire segment.
Yeah, for those of you that it mattered to, it was 4, 6, 9, 10, 8, 1, 3, 2, 7, 5. So that was the order that we came up with randomly there for my buddy Phil and his fantasy football group. Phil used to work here, actually. So
lottery numbers are next, right, Chase?
Yeah, lottery. We'll do some lottery numbers next.
There we go.
Now to the defense, and this one was hard. I mean, and what was interesting, and I brought this up with Zach Lyons when I asked him because you got, like, for instance, the defensive line. I'm carrying 6, but you have some that have Naquan Jones in and some that have Naquan Jones out. I have Naquan Jones out. I went Simmons, Tart. Autry can go either in, defensive line or outside. I just put him D line. Pecco, PV, and Dwumfor. That's the group that I have for the defensive line. And then, like we said, Autry can convert to outside linebacker and part of the pass rush too. So that's the initial group. That's one that I think, obviously you feel really good about Simmons and Tart and Autry being a part of that, but they could tweak that as they go, to at the back end. Outside linebacker, again, considering Autry is a potential member of that group, I went Landry, Key, Weaver, and I do have Murphy making it. That's a guy that I think Caleb Murphy is on the bubble. This was Mike Vrabel yesterday when asked about what he saw from Murphy, who ended up into the preseason with 4 sacks.
Caleb Murphy had 4 sacks in the 3 games. What more did you see from him on film other than what kind of jumped out?
Right. That's what it is. These guys get into a pass rush situation, and he was able to affect the quarterback in multiple ways. And, ran a couple games, had a couple nice moves in Minnesota. Needs to continue to try to find a role on special teams. Would love for all our outside linebackers that don't play a bunch of snaps or a heavy load to be involved in special teams. That's something that goes on pretty much everywhere.
That was Vrabel and Caleb Murphy. I mean, again, that's his kind of non-committal answer, but I feel like he makes it. I mean, I looked at TD's roster too, and he has him. He has Caleb Murphy making it. Let's see. I just had Zach's pulled up. And, of course, I had to close it. Again, if you're just tuning in, Jordan Schultz reporting that Racey McMath will be released by the Titans. No surprise, really, in my mind about that. Let's see. Zach had – I think he had Caleb making it, but –
if you listen to Vrabel, by the way, in that last clip, he emphasized special teams multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, and he does that. Like he wants these guys to make it. And Zach does not have Caleb. He has him on the cusp of making the roster. But I think he does. Yeah, but he does. He emphasizes special teams all the time. That some of these guys that are on the back end of the roster that aren't guaranteed a spot, the more you can do on special teams, the better your chances are of making the team. And I think that he looks at that as very, very important. Inside linebacker, as we discussed with Zach Lyons, is the one that the group you see today, outside of a few, I think is going to change. Azeez Al-Shire, obviously, I have him making it. I, too, have Monty Rice getting cut. Then Gibbons, Campbell, Neiman, and Gifford. That is the group that I have initially. Again, subject to change. And I think it probably needs to change because nothing against those guys. It's just got to get a little bit stronger. Azeez Al-Shire, I think, is, as we talked about with Jonathan Hutton yesterday, I look at him as he's a guy that has, been in the league. He's gotten an opportunity. He's about to go up to another level as an everyday guy with this team. I mean, he's looked really good in training camp. I think he is poised to really help this defense and be a big part of it. Cornerback, and let me say this, that Elijah Molden I kind of have as that hybrid guy. He can play corner and safety. I ended up putting him in the safety group, but obviously we know he can play corner. So I went Christian Fulton, Roger McCreary, Sean Murphy-Bunting, Eric Guerrer, and Trey Avery as my 5 cornerbacks making the team. Safety, Byard, Hooker, Shaheem Carter, Brown, and Elijah Molden as a group. But that's another one that there could be tweaks here and there on what happens. And then special teams, punter is Stonehouse, long snapper is Cox. I'm putting Nick Folk as the kicker as a shot in the dark. I have no idea. And I don't think they have any idea.
My phone hasn't buzzed at all while we've been on the air, Chase. So they haven't called my phone number for a kicking spot.
I mean, how many do you think you'd make? When was the last time you attempted a kick?
3 years ago, and it was a 36-yard field goal, and it was down right up the middle.
Okay.
So that was the last field goal I attempted.
With a pass rush or without a pass rush?
It's without a pass rush,
Okay.
but I can tell you, I can put a helmet and shoulder pads on and still make that same distance.
I believe in you. Let's see. Justin M. on Twitter putting out there that running back Jacques Patrick is being released from the Titans. So this is where, stuff starts coming through that, guys are going to be released. And again, some of these are not surprising at all. So and we talked about Diana Rossini when she said that the trade market, is busy for kicker out there as the Patriots looking to trade Folk. That could be an option. I didn't even think about that they could move, a pick from next year. I mean, that makes sense. They could do that, if they were to try and go the trade route. But certainly interesting what could happen. The David Quesenberry one's interesting too. If that's people keep asking about Dennis Kelly. Would you go back to Dennis Kelly? I would go back to Quesenberry before I'd go back to Dennis Kelly at this point in his career. Quesenberry's been with the Bills since he left here. He was a solid guy, a Vrabel guy. knows Tim Kelly from Houston. So I think that there's a very good chance that could be a thing.
Quisenberry is a definite good shout for me. I mean, yeah, mentioning Dennis Kelly's name is like kind of just mentioning air that's passing through the side of, your car door. But no, Quisenberry is a good shout. I think that might be an actual viable option for the Titans going into the next couple of weeks for their season.
And you know how I am about bringing back guys that have been here, but that's one that I don't think would be out of the realm of possibility.
No, not at all.
If they were to do that, and I don't think anybody would, that's paid attention to this team for the last few years would hate that, by any means if they did that.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, the opportunity that's there for Quisenberry and the strength that he brings to the offensive line and the capabilities of his mental game really kind of, I don't want to say is top notch, but it's up there to the point where it would definitely assist this offensive line in this disarray they've been in the majority of the offseason.
Yeah. So, again, a lot of tweaks that are going to be made. And then there's just going to continue to be question marks with this roster overall. I mean, I look at a roster that has some really bright spots, has some bright potential, and potential is a dangerous word, and it has some holes in it. Every roster is going to probably have a hole or two somewhere that they're going to have to fill. It's just, are the parts around them strong enough to make up for those deficiencies? Like, can this defense and this defensive front be strong enough to make up for the deficiencies of the offense because of the offensive line? That I simply do not know if that is going to be the case, because the offensive line is the catalyst for that offense. Because if Tannehill doesn't have time to throw, if Henry doesn't have a lane to run through, then they're not going anywhere. And if you thought 17 points a game last year was bad, I mean, if they don't have time to do anything and there's no protection, then the defense can't score, for them every time.
Can't have a pick six every other drive.
No, I mean, I think you'll certainly see that, but you can't have that every time. So, going to be interesting to see how this roster evolves over the course of the next few weeks. Coming up next, we'll look at some other teams around the NFL. I heard some interesting comments from some ESPN analysts about various subjects in the National Football League. We'll do that next. Also, Caroline going to stop in at the end of the show. We'll get her thoughts on some college football and transition into Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. That's coming up here on Chase McCabe. But right now, Nick, we're going to give something away because I'm in a giving mood. Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper coming to Bridgestone Arena on September 12th. Caller number 5 at 615-737-1025 will win a pair of tickets to see Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper at Bridgestone Arena on September 12th, courtesy of us here at 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
If it's important to Nashville,
I'll put it out right now.
It's important to Jared Stillman.
Like, that's it.
He's not afraid to ask the tough questions.
Something is going on, and the question is, what does it mean?
Or give the strong opinion.
And just needed the bozo offensive coordinator to stop ruining the quarterback.
Stillman and Company. Weekdays at 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
All right, let's get your bets in on Superbook Sports. Week 1 of college this weekend. Obviously got pros just around the corner. You can make your futures preseason bets still right now with Superbook here in Tennessee. They are the most trusted name in Vegas when it comes to sports betting. And now you can use my promo code CHASE, C-H-A-S-E, to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 simply by using the promo code CHASE. Will Tennessee win the division this year? Who's your pick for MVP, and which team will win it all in February? Don't you sit on the sidelines. Don't you do it. Win money this season with Superbook Sports. Just download that Superbook Tennessee app or visit superbook.com to place your wager today. Use that promo code CHASE for that $250. Again, visit superbook.com for full terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
In 1972, a Nashville family business story began when Bill and Beverly Finley founded Volunteer Hose and Gasket. 3 generations have grown the business into the local industry leader supplying just about anything to anybody, from the largest of contractors to your neighbor that mows his own yard. Over 1 million items in stock: belts, belting accessories, gaskets, gauges, hose fittings, hydraulics, industrial hoses, lubricants, sealing products, tubing, fire protection, and more. All at volunteerhose.net. If Volunteer Hose and Gasket doesn't have it, then you probably don't need it. Call them at 615-242-0461.
Are you or someone you know looking for a job change or a new career opportunity? Come out and interview with one or more of over 30 local employers ready to hire on the spot at Urban League's free workshop development hiring expo, Saturday, September 9th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Nashville State's White Bridge campus. This free event will include door prizes, food trucks, and much more. The future is yours. Join Urban League of Middle Tennessee on September 9th and take the next step to your exciting future. Call the Urban League office at 615-254-0525 for more information.
Golf fans, the Simmons Bank Open hits town September 14th through the 17th and is now part of the Korn Ferry Tour Finals. 1025 and 1063. The Game wants to send you and 3 friends in VIP style. Text the keyword GOLF to 615-737-1025 to win.
Hello, whoever it is going to be.
You want to weigh in on anything that we're talking about on today's show? Hit us up on our phone and text line at 615-737-1025, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Chase McCabe on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game.
Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Just gave away some tickets to Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper. We did get a winner, so thanks for that. As we look at the National Football League, it's hard. I mean, I cannot believe a week from Thursday. So this is college football's week to do their thing. Tennessee in town, taking on Virginia at Nissan Stadium. We'll have that game for you thanks to the Virginia Radio Network. Our buddy John Freeman will be on the call for that. Of course, called the first ever goal in Nashville SC history. Now he's doing big things at the University of Virginia. So you can hear that starting at 11 on 102.5, 106.3 The Game on Saturday. But then it's National Football League time the following week. But I wanted to kind of hit on a few different things around the league. And that is, you know, based on some stuff I heard on ESPN. And we ended with this yesterday, but we start with this with Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. What's going to happen with them as the Cowboys acquired Trey Lance essentially to be the backup? Is he an insurance policy? You know, what does that mean? Here was Dak Prescott the other day when asked about the Cowboys acquiring Trey Lance.
I mean, I can't say that I necessarily expected it, no. I understand that that's business. I understand that they're probably on a timeline. They need to get something done. And as I said, he felt like that strengthened his team. To be honest with you, I'm not surprised by anything anymore. He's been in this league 8 years, been on this team. It's hard to say that I was surprised, to be honest with you.
So that was Dak. And you can kind of hear it in his voice that he's not, you know, nothing surprises him, but he's probably a little upset, disappointed. And I get it. I mean, it's his team. NFL Memes, which is a tremendous follow on both Twitter and Instagram, they had this clip of a guy going like, no, he's a great backup quarterback. Like no. He's, I mean, like, I'm the starter, but he's a great backup quarter. Like, it was cracking me up that Dak's kind of got that. Here was Mike Tannenbaum earlier today from ESPN, a former GM, that he was disappointed in how Dak reacted.
I wonder in the back of his mind, he's saying, like, well, I was this nondescript fourth-round pick. We had a star quarterback in Tony Romo, and we know the rest is history. And I wonder in the back of his mind, he's thinking, like, well, maybe, you know, my tenure here is a little bit shorter than I thought. When he makes that comment of nothing surprises me anymore, I find that to be a little passive-aggressive. Like, if you're the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, just sit there and say, hey, man, this is my team. They can bring in 42 backup quarterbacks the way Green Bay did when Brett Favre was there. And he didn't say that. And to me, he was wobbly there unnecessarily.
So that was Mike Tannenbaum. And I'm going to be honest, I don't always agree with Mike Tannenbaum. I agree with him there. You're the starting quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Own it. Be like, hey, Welcome to the team, Trey. Come get it. You know, you should use that as motivation. And I kind of feel like, you know, that as crazy as Jerry can be, you know, I think Steven's doing a lot of this work behind the scenes too. Jerry's still the face, Jura, but I think Stephen Jones, you know, is calling more shots than people think. I think this might have been done to light a fire under Dak, you know, and get him going. And so use it. Don't be like, nothing surprises me anymore. Go, hey, you know, whatever. I'm the starting quarterback. This is my team. We're going to do a lot of good things this year. Watch. And have your hold my beer moment. But I think a lot of people don't think Dak can do that. And, yeah, you're right. He was a 4th-round pick. He's been good. He's not been great. He's not been elite. And, you know, as a lifelong Cowboys fan, they've been trying to find that franchise guy. Tony Romo was really good, but he was really good. I don't think he was great. There's some people that might have said he was. I don't think so. I like Tony Romo. I never loved Tony Romo. He wasn't Troy Aikman. And, you know, what's interesting, like, in this argument doesn't necessarily matter, but, you know, would Troy Aikman have been Troy Aikman in today's NFL? Probably not. But at the time, you know, he was good. And, I mean, there's all these jokes. Like, I saw one floating around of a meteorologist somewhere that he was doing have you seen this? Doing the 7-day forecast, and he's like, yeah, we're going to peak in the 90s like the Cowboys.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, that's funny. It's true, but that's okay. All right, you're funny.
To Dak's point, though, with his comment and people saying he's reacted incorrectly to it, honestly, if you look at the roster, they got rid of Dalton Schultz. They got rid of his best friend, Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, Dak now has a true purpose to really show the interception woes the last couple of seasons with the Cowboys, and now with the addition of
injury.
And the injury to his ankle. Now with the addition of Trey Lance, like, this should light a fire under him and just bring him to a whole nother level. I mean, I grew up a Mississippi State fan because that's, you know, I've had some family ties there, and I watched Dak Prescott through the years with Mississippi State, and to see him go from a 4th-round pick to now being the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, yeah, he's exceeded the 4th-round pick expectations. Now he's got to take it to that next level, and hopefully it's not too late for the Cowboys.
Look, I mean, as a Cowboys fan, I'll tell you this. I like Tony Pollard. I mean, now that he doesn't have Zeke to rely on, you know, can he be the guy? Time will tell. And then, you know, you mentioned no more Dalton Schultz, which is you know, kind of scary. They got, you know, a tight end room that I think is going to be a committee, and then wide receivers. I mean, you have CD, but then Michael Gallup, if he's healthy, I mean, he's, you know, kind of solid in that group. But what else? So I think there's a lot of question marks with them this year, more than just Dak, for sure. Some other things to hit that, again, you know, that have been on my mind, and, you know, we'll, towards the end of the week, kind of do our division predictions and all of that. When we've talked about the AFC North, that's an intriguing division because Cincinnati has kind of had their stamp on it the last few years. I think Joe Burrow is going to continue to get better, and I think this could be his MVP year. I mean, I feel like he's going to win the MVP at some point. I think it could certainly be this year, but Baltimore is an interesting one. You know, how are they going to be? Pittsburgh and then Cleveland. And so it's kind of a coin toss. Now, I have kind of felt like Pittsburgh could be the team that people really aren't paying attention to, and maybe they should. Dan Graziano from ESPN, though, thinks that they're not quite there yet.
I think the Steelers are on the way up with Kenny Pickett. I just don't know, like, are they good enough to make this year's playoffs, right? Like, Kenny Pickett looked like a nice player second half of last year. Is he Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson? No. George Pickens and Deontay Johnson, nice receivers. Are they Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? No. I think there's still a ways to go for Pittsburgh. I think they're on the upswing, and you cannot underrate Mike Tomlin. He's his best, as good as anybody at getting a team together and winning games. But I don't have them there with the with the upper echelon teams in the AFC just yet, and there's so many of those.
Okay. Now, do I have them with the upper echelon in the AFC, and that's the tough part? No. But, like, Kenny Pickett is I think, the guy that everybody's looking at going, he could be the big surprise of the year. No, George Pickens is not Chase, but I think Pickens is a dude. I mean, I think he's really good. So I don't know. I'm going to stick with my prediction that I don't think Pittsburgh wins the division, but I could see them punching their ticket back into the playoffs. And Mike Tomlin has a lot to do with that because the standard is the standard. You know, got to throw that out there. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of in the same boat with you. You know, the addition of Darnell Washington, a lot of people are saying is basically an extension to the offensive line and just adding him for Najee Harris to run the ball. I think otherwise. I think, you know, Darnell Washington is a sneaky pick for a lot of Steeler fans out there. He is a pass catcher to my eyeball. Some people may look differently, but him and Pat Freiermuth on the other end of the line, and then with the Pickens, with, you know, Najee in the backfield, you could easily toss it out wide and do some sort of screen. Yeah, they have a lot of options on the offense, and we all know Mike Tomlin has that defense sound and ready to go every year. So, I mean, this is a Pittsburgh Steelers team that could really, like you said, punch their ticket back to the playoffs in an easy wild card spot.
Another team that is intriguing in the AFC, and it could be for the right reasons and it could be for the wrong reasons. Their head coach has already made noise by throwing jabs at the former head coach. That's Sean Payton. I'm talking about the Broncos. Here's Mike Tannenbaum on an interesting thought with the Broncos and Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson will absolutely be benched this year. It's not a matter of if, but when, and here's why. Sean Payton is in year one, and Jeff Darlington, his job description is to win championships, not to make sure that Russell Wilson is a good player. Sean will look at this as an opportunity and say, hey, I got Patrick Surtain, I got Jerry Jeudy, I got great young players. The best way to motivate them is to bench the quarterback, and that's what they're going to do.
Okay, so what do you think of that hot take from Mike Tannenbaum? This is where I don't agree with Tannenbaum, because wasn't Sean Payton hired, yes, to win championships, but to revive Russell Wilson and bring him back to the Russell Wilson of old? So what is he going to do? He's going to bench him for Ben DiNucci or Jared Stidham?
Ben DiNucci has been waived today, by the way.
Okay, so Jared Stidham?
Hey, maybe he sees something in Stidham we don't see.
What?
Nothing.
I mean, that's where they're at. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that Sean Payton's not going to be able to get Russell Wilson back to the old Russell Wilson, and he's going to be developing a new quarterback next year. But come on, Tannenbaum. No, I don't agree with you there. I agreed with your first take on Dak, but not so much on the Broncos.
Freezing cold take there.
Freezing cold take. Coming up next, Caroline Fenton is going to pop in. We'll talk to her, a little college football coming up this week, and also get you set for Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace. That's all ahead. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
It's a long summer. But don't worry. Hockey will be back soon. You'll hear every slap shot, save, hit, and of course,
knocked down in front, rebound, and the score!
On your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Is it October yet?
Hey everybody, it's Nick Frazier here to tell you about my favorite sport book and casino, BetUS.com. Football is back, and that means it's time to lay down your bets. I only endorse one sport book and casino, and that's BetUS.com. They're celebrating their 30th year of sports betting service with a special offer up to 30 risk-free bets. That's right, up to 30 risk-free bets. It's called Bet Protect. BetUS.com also offers a 125% sign-up bonus and a massive 200% crypto sign-up bonus and a 250% casino bonus. The game always gets more exciting with the bet, but you can take it to a whole nother level with BetUS.com's live in-game betting. Take advantage of their 30th year offer, up to 30 risk-free bets. Get Bet Protect. Get started today by visiting BetUS.com or 1-800-MyBetUS to learn more. That's 1-800-MyBetUS. BetUS.com, sportbook and casino, where the game begins.
Real estate investors, get ready for an incredible opportunity. D&M Development is thrilled to announce the Phase 1 presale of 16 non-owner occupied short-term rentals in Nashville's exclusive resort-style community, the New Cumberland. Nestled between Germantown and East Nashville, this exceptional location offers stunning views of the city and the Cumberland River. Each unit features spacious kitchens, 4 bedrooms, and 4 baths, providing the ultimate luxury experience for your guests. Resort-style pools and a wide range of amenities. Don't miss out on this exclusive investment chance. Visit thenewcumberland.com for more information and secure your spot in this extraordinary community.
312 Pizza Company is a proud sponsor of Nashville Sounds Baseball on 102.5 The Game.
Blue Raider fans, your home for all the MTSU football and men's basketball action is on 93.3 Classic Hits and 95.1 Classic Hits in the borough. Catch the action all season long with Chip Walters on the call. Go Blue Raiders!
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
It's the latest social networking thingy. We are all over social media. Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game. You can follow me at Chase on Game. Also on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville and at The Chase McCabe. See, aren't we cool?
Chase McCabe on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Chase McCabe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Caroline William D-Mace coming up in about 15 minutes, but Caroline's going to do triple duty today. Appeared on the morning show. Now she's here, getting ready for her show.
It's my game car wash today.
This is your week, though.
This is my season.
This is you.
Yes.
College football.
Uh-huh.
I mean, last week I called it a tease. Like, you know, we saw Vanderbilt in Hawaii. We saw Sam Hartman in Notre Dame. Sam Hartman, give him the Heisman right now.
Heisman finalist.
Just hand it over to him right now.
Just give it to him. Notre Dame national champions, calling it now.
Do you? I mean, it's one game, but just like overall view, I mean, are they real? Are you buying it, or Navy's just that bad, and it's just like it's going to be tough to tell?
I lean toward the latter.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to take one game against an average at best Navy team in week 0 and all of a sudden call Notre Dame a college football playoff contender. I do think that Notre Dame is going to be a really solid team this year. I really like Sam Hartman. I thought that was a massive hit for Wake Forest when he entered the transfer portal. I'm not taking too much away from week 0. I'm not getting too high. I'm not getting too low. But it was fun to watch that team.
Tennessee will host, I guess technically host, Virginia at Nissan Stadium. We know there'll be a lot of orange there for sure.
Yes.
What do you need to see from them, Joe Milton specifically, in the first game where they're a 28-point favorite?
Whenever you talk about Tennessee, I think that the first answer from a lot of people is, I need to see that the defense has improved. And I think that's totally fair and totally justified, because that was where Tennessee struggled a lot last season, was defensively. But, you know, take the slip up against South Carolina away. I mean, for the majority of the season, Tennessee had college football playoff hopes and were legitimately in the conversation. We're the number 1 team in the country, at least for a week, with said defense. So I'm not going to say that Tennessee all of a sudden needs to have a much improved defense in order to, you know, potentially be an 11-1 team this year, because they were able to do that this past season. For me, I think it comes down to the receivers and the offensive line. And of course that filters into Joe Milton and his performance. Can he run this offense like Hendon Hooker did? Because I think you look at this Tennessee offense, of course, you know, it favors the quarterbacks, it favors the receivers, but Hendon Hooker still had to execute that offense and did it at a very high level. Can Joe Milton do that? Can he take advantage of those receivers? Because I think they've got a really solid receiver room in Squirrel White and Ramel Keaton, and the transfer, his name is escaping me, Dante Thornton. It's going to be a really big addition into that wide receiver room. It's, can the offensive line block to give Joe Milton time to take advantage of those receivers, and can Joe Milton get the accuracy down to take advantage of those receivers? Because if he can do that, then I think that it's going to be a good sign for Tennessee, but I'm not quite willing to say that this is going to be a repeat or a build upon what we saw from last season, because Joe Milton just frankly is not Hendon Hooker.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into my next thought and question, because, I look at them that I think they can continue, to be on the upward trend and be a team that's in contention. It's just I think Alabama is going to be better. I think Georgia's still going to be Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And so
why do you think Alabama's going to be better?
Because Saban had this swagger about him at SEC Media Days, and whenever he has that, I get scared.
Here's why I don't think Alabama is going to be better. Alabama had the best quarterback in the country and the best defensive player in the country this past season and still went 10-2. So that doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence that with this quarterback competition, which I don't know how much confidence there really is for any of those three guys in the room. Jalen Milroe, who got some playing time last year when Bryce Young went down with an injury, he doesn't have the arm that Bryce Young had. Ty Simpson probably is the most explosive quarterback on that roster, but as a true freshman doesn't have the experience. And then Tyler Buchner he's kind of on the outside looking in. So the quarterback position doesn't give me confidence. And they lost a lot of their playmakers. They're replacing two coordinators. I mean, that's a lot of change, even for Nick Saban to overcome. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see another 10-2 season from Alabama.
So, okay, taking your purple and gold glasses off for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're picking in the West, are you still going Alabama, or do you think LSU is a legitimate contender, or could A&M actually live up to all the money they've spent and get in there?
LSU is absolutely a contender for the SEC West. A college football playoff contender, that's a different conversation. Let's beat Florida State first, and then we'll be able to have that conversation. LSU is definitely, I would say there's a fair argument to be made for Alabama, LSU, and for Texas A&M. And I know everyone's saying, well, A&M went 5-7 last year. How in the world could they now beat out Alabama and LSU for the West? Connor Wigman was just named the starting quarterback, and I think that was the best quarterback on the roster this past season. I mean, Texas A&M went through 3 quarterbacks last year. They had true freshmen on the offensive line. They were decimated with injury on the offensive side of the ball, so I see them much improved. I struggle with who's going to win the West because I lean LSU because there are so few questions about LSU. Returning coordinators, returning head coach, returning starting quarterback, returning leading receiver, returning its 5 leading rushers, and you get back Mason Smith, and you return Harold Perkins, who I think are 2 of the best defensive players in the country. So there's so few questions about LSU. But the West is going to come down to, I believe, the LSU-Alabama game in November. I fully expect Alabama to have all of their kinks figured out by November. It's just a matter of, can they escape Texas? And can they escape some of the games early on their schedule so they can keep themselves alive for SEC West contention later in the season? When they do, I expect get those questions answered later on in the season.
Well, look, all I need to have happen is Rick Stockstill and the Blue Raiders go down to Tuscaloosa and just upset City.
Give it to me, Stock.
Upset City.
There was Big Game Boomer on Twitter.
Yeah.
Which, if you get upset about Big Game Boomer, please don't. It's just made up lists. But there was a list of college football coaches that would win in a fight, and Stock was like top 20 on the list.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for giving.
I would take Stock.
All day long.
Yeah.
All day long, I would pick Stock in a fight. So I'm glad that they got some recognition in a list that totally matters.
So I look at Texas A&M, and to me it's stupid in a crazy way. It could be a dumb way before it's all said and done, but in a crazy way that Jimbo Fisher has basically bet his job, because don't tell me, he'll never get fired because of the buyout. They'll figure it out.
They got money.
They got money down there at Texas A&M. But he's basically put it all on Bobby Petrino. And you know what? It might actually work.
It is either the smartest move that man has ever made or the dumbest decision that he will regret for the rest of his life. And I don't think there's an in-between.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that it really comes down to how much say does Bobby Petrino truly have? Because if you think that Bobby Petrino has, taken Jimbo Fisher out of the car and now he's in the driver's seat for this Texas A&M offense, I think that would be foolish. I don't think that Jimbo Fisher is completely letting go of the reins and letting Bobby Petrino take over everything. But I do think that Jimbo Fisher understands that whatever was happening last season wasn't working. And yeah, they were decimated with injury. And yeah, they went through 3 different quarterbacks. And yeah, they had true freshmen and redshirt freshmen lining up on both sides of the ball. But it was a scheme problem too. It wasn't just the Jimmies and Joes. It was also the X's and O's. And that falls on Jimbo Fisher. So I think that this season lies in not just the Bobby Petrino experiment, but also how much Jimbo Fisher is willing to just let go and let Bobby Petrino take the wheel.
So you obviously pay a lot of attention to the SEC. You do a show on Sirius XM as well with us. Is there a sleeper team in your mind that we should pay attention to, or is it you got to see at least 1 week before you can make that decision?
I'll give you one in the East and the West.
Okay.
In the East, it's Kentucky.
Yep, that's what I thought you'd say.
I know all of you Big Orange faithful are rolling your eyes, and you say it. Everybody believes in Kentucky every single year. I really love Devin Leary. He's a transfer in from NC State, and Liam Cohen comes back to Kentucky. Don't forget, Will Levis's breakout year, his best year at Kentucky was under Liam Cohen in that offense. Liam Cohen leaves in 2022. He's on the offensive staff for the Los Angeles Rams, comes back to Kentucky. So I think with Devin Leary's arm talent combined with this Liam Cohen pro-style offense, it's going to be fun to watch. The offensive line is much improved. 2 of Will Levis's top targets last season were both true freshman receivers. Well, now they've got a year of experience under their belts. They know what's expected of them. So I do expect this Kentucky offense to be much improved. And I do view the East as maybe potentially a little bit cannibalistic underneath Georgia. You look at, Kentucky, South Carolina, Tennessee. I think you can make a case for all 3 of those teams being the second best team in the East. In the West, bear with me. Auburn.
Ooh. It's interesting.
I go into this season with probably more questions about Auburn than any other team in the SEC West. Peyton Thorne is named as their starting quarterback, transfer in from Michigan State. He had a rough year at Michigan State this past season, but what do we know about Hugh Freeze and quarterbacks? I mean, he's a whisperer. He's a quarterback whisperer. Behind Peyton Thorne, you've got Robbie Ashford, who I think behind Jaden Daniels uses his legs the best out of any other quarterback in the SEC, maybe behind KJ Jefferson as well at Arkansas. So I think that the combination, the 1-2 punch of Peyton Thorne and his arm talent and, the RPO system that Hugh Freeze likes to run, combined with Robbie Ashford in the run game, I wouldn't be surprised to see Auburn be maybe like a 7-5, 8-4 team, which probably is way below what Auburn fans would like to hear or see. But for a first-year head coach coming into a team that had so little depth and honestly was just so downtrodden from the Brian Harsin era, I think we're going to be surprised, and I think that the Hugh Freeze turnaround at Auburn is going to be expedited. I don't see it being like a Brian Kelly first year at LSU where Auburn wins the West kind of outcome.
Yeah.
But I think that Auburn could be a giant killer. Like, look out for the Iron Bowl, because I would not be surprised if that game is probably a lot more interesting than we expect.
That's an interesting way to end it. But, hey, thanks for doing this. I know you got work to do. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace is coming up next. You all will break down the potential 53-man roster for the Titans that we are all refreshing our X feeds to see who's cut and who's not, but we'll be tuning in. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
They are next here on 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Trust your pets with Cottle Vet Clinic in East Nashville in the heart of Inglewood for compassionate care and your fur baby's optimal health. From vaccinations to health checkups with on-site pharmacy, teeth cleaning, grooming, and state-of-the-art surgical procedures, trust Cottle Vet, now offering boarding. Visit CottleVetClinic.com to learn more. We know you love your pet. And at Cottle Vet Clinic, pets are family.
All the big plays.
And we are done. Vandy 24-21.
All the big stories.
I'm sure Vandy will be a much better team if Clark Lee is the coach.
All in one place.